What's up, guys? Stephen Hunt here. Everybody goes through that one moment in their life where somebody believed in them and it shaped the future of their life. Um, I'm here to tell you that my story of the time that my life changed because somebody simply said a few short words to me. So, let me set the scene. This is back in 2013. I was 13 years old. I was in seventh grade. Maybe this is 2014. 13 years old in seventh grade, and I had just moved to this new school. I was new to the area. I was used to traveling and not traveling, but moving areas a lot because my family moved a lot. I think I'd moved 11 times by the time I was 11 years old. I think I moved another 8 or 10 times by the time I was 21 years old. So I just moved a lot in my life. And so at 13, moving into a new school, I was trying to find my place. I was trying to find, who are going to be my friends? How do I make friends? What group am I going to? I was just trying to find a place to belong. The place that I found that I belonged was with a couple of guys at my school that kind of goofed off. Didn't really take school super seriously. Thought it was funny when you bomb a test, and so I thought it's cool, it's normal to not do well in school. That when you fail a test, that's normal and that's cool. And so the people that I was hanging around oftentimes would have D's or C's in their classes. And so I started to get D's and C's. Now, my parents weren't really involved with checking my grades. They wanted me to get good grades, but they never made it a point like, oh, like you have to do this. They were trying to make do with what we had. So, um, so it's the end of the year, end of my seventh grade year, and I'm sitting in my history class. Now, shout out to Mr. Robinson. If you see this video, thank you for this. But history class was my favorite class because we were talking about Texas history. And I thought it was so cool because I loved Texas. I thought it was, stories of cowboys and the Alamo and how Texas was its own country for a while. I was just in love with Texas history. I thought it was really cool. Well, this was a couple of weeks before we had a seventh grade trip where we went to went on a field trip to go see some cool Texas memorial things, and we're getting some grade reports back for the year. How we did for the semester and for the year in that class. And so this report had every single one of my classes and how we did. And so I was sitting next to my buddies, again the same guys that I thought hey, it's cool to fail and whatnot. And one of my buddies is like, we all get our report cards back. One of my buddies is like, oh my gosh, like I barely passed science class, like whew. And I was like, oh yeah. Oh, look at my grades. Like I barely passed this class. I think I got C's and C's and C's. I think in one class I had an A, and it was like the easiest class that didn't really require everything. I think pretty much everywhere across the board I had C's and maybe a B. And then I look at my buddy's report card, and he says, hey, I just glance over his shoulder and look at his, and he has all A's except for that one class that he's like, oh my gosh, I barely passed. And that one class was a C. So every other class was an A. My other buddy, who would laugh about bombing a test, had all A's. And I was like, what? And I remember him bragging. He was like, yeah, my parents said that they'll pay me like $100 for every A in my class that I get. Obviously, my parents didn't do that, but I was just like, dang. I thought we were all bombing our classes. Like I thought that's what we were all doing. And I think I had made a joke to one of my friends saying, wow, like, whew, I barely passed this year. I got lucky. And Mr. Robinson, my seventh grade history teacher, was standing behind me when I said that. He said, Stephen, if you actually applied yourself, you'd be a great student. And I remember it was the honesty that he said that with, and the intentionality that he said that with, that caught me off guard. I remember I kind of felt like I was being called out. Like, you're not giving your best, and you're wasting your potential, which I was, but he was, honest enough to call me out on it. So I went home that day and I told my parents, I said, okay, Mom and Dad, they're like, how's your report cards? And I showed it to them, and they were like, why are you struggling in your classes? And I was like, well, I just don't think I don't know, I'm struggling this, I'm struggling that. And I said, I want to get all A's next year in 8th grade. I want to get all A's. If I get all A's, can we make a deal? It's like, what do you want? I was like, can you pay me $100 if I make all A's? And they kind of looked at each other and they're like, well, sure. If you get all A's, we'll pay you $100. And I was like, okay. And it made it a competition for me. From that moment on until I graduated high school, I had all A's in every class except for chemistry and physics. I had B's. So I was an A/B student throughout the rest of my high school and college, or middle school and high school. Into college, my first year, I was pretty much an all A student, and then I kind of was in and out of college for various reasons with sports and work and etc. But the point is, I became a high performer because Mr. Robinson believed in me. He said something that believed in me, that to show that he believed in me. And that was one of the first times in my life where somebody said I had potential and said that I wasn't meeting that potential. And there's been other times in my life where other people, influences, coaches, mentors, friends, family that have breathed belief into me, that have allowed me to become a high performer, and pushed me to reach my potential. And so if you have an opportunity to do that for somebody else, where you're able to believe in them and to call them for better and to push them to achieve better than what they believe that they can achieve, take that opportunity. Say that sentence, say that encouraging word. Be like Mr. Robinson and say, hey, if you actually applied yourself, you could do better. Because you never know the type of influence that it can make. You could be the first person that actually believed in somebody, and they might need that from you. So that's my story of like the first time that I was called out on my potential and how I wasn't reaching it, and it set me on a path for future success and reaching my potential. So, Mr. Robinson, if you see this is a thank you video for that. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for always believing in me and the rest of us that you invested your time into. So, with that said, thank you guys for watching the video. If you like these types of videos, if you like the stories, let me know down below in the comments. Tell me what a time that somebody believed in you that inspired you, or maybe a time that you wish you would have been believed in that would have helped you a little bit more. Maybe that might inspire others to also believe in the people around them and help be more encouraging. So my name's Stephen Hunt. Until the next one, peace.